Hey guys, Patriot with you. It's steamy hot out here right now, a little bit better than earlier now that the sun went down. Wanted to wait and kind of do this, but let's go ahead and show you the results of the test of the WD-40 LTCI versus the break-free CLP. Let's go ahead and start right here. You remember where we left off. Looking at the bucket here, you remember that we had 3 pieces of rebar. The one on the right side is the break-free CLP. This one is the control, and this one over here is the WD-40 LTCI. Let's go ahead and pull the control out first. See what we got. Knock some of the rust off of there, or some of the rocks, I should say. Well, you can see there's a good amount of rust on this thing. The ends are pretty heavily rusted. The underside, that was the bottom edge right there. Obviously it took on a fair amount of rust. Alright, let's go ahead and pull the other one. Let's go with the break-free. Alright, this is looking a bit better. You can see the top side here was preserved pretty well. Rotating it, see a fair amount of rust ended up on the bottom edge. Pretty heavy down here on this right end. Perhaps it was subjected to the most water or salt. The end isn't caked, but it's fairly heavy on this end. And medium rust on this end. Okay, that was the downside right here. Doesn't want to stay that way. Gosh, it doesn't look like it fared that much better than the control. In fact, this part is actually a little bit worse than the control. Alright. Maybe it's just the way that the salt was distributed. Okay, this one's actually very clean on the top side. And the writing was the top side here. Going underneath, pretty clean under here too. There's a little bit of orange coming off on the paper towel. It's like the water rusted around it. But look at the ends here. The ends did great. Same with this side. Very interesting. That's a pretty big difference, you guys. Okay, let's take a look at the control. This is the side that was sitting down against the pan. I actually had a question as to whether or not the aluminum foil that I used here would cause any kind of a reaction, and one of my viewers who's trained professionally in this type of thing in welding and metallurgy said that there was no reaction with aluminum. So I was glad to hear that, because I thought I messed up. You can see how rusted the end is. Sorry about my neighbors there, they are making a racket. They're drunk. Okay, let's go ahead onto the CLP. You can see the top of this has a lot of salt deposits, but not a whole lot of rust on the top. That did pretty well right there, that edge. And then a lot of rust here where this was sitting down against the pan. You can see a lot of rust collected under there. Ooh, that end is very rusted. Gosh, it's almost like there was nothing on it. It's almost as bad as the control. Very interesting. Look at that. Pretty surprising. Okay, well, my good old favorite here, CLP. It did great for days, but then after a while it finally struggled. Alright, let's look at the WD-40 LTCI. Definitely has an orange hue to it. Actually, it looks like it's still on the metal. You know, these look like they're pretty dried up, like the solution or the preservative kind of evaporated or baked off or something. The LTCI is still kind of slick with preservative. You'll recall that this one sprayed on, which I was a little bit concerned about because I applied the CLP with a brush and I only sprayed this one on. And so I was thinking, you know, I should have probably done them all with the brush, but it turns out that the spray on seems to have done really well. Look at the underside. A little bit of rust down here on the bottom edge. And a little bit of rust on this end. Actually, it's pretty caked on right there. Because I sprayed it on, maybe I didn't get that end real well, but you can see how much rust is on that. But look at the rest of it. It did really well. Compared to this, that's the CLP. Almost said LCP. Here's the control. Here's the CLP. Here's the LTCI. I don't know, it's pretty definitive, guys, between the salt water and the other test here with the salt water and tri-clor. Anyhow, guys, I think that's pretty impressive. It's enough to be conclusive, at least in a first test. So I've got one more idea, and I'm going to do a second test on a different type of steel, and I'm not going to give it away yet. I'll show you when I apply the solution, but this time I'm actually going to brush both of these on. I'm going to brush on the CLP and I'm going to brush on the corrosion inhibitor, just so that the application process was the same. But there you have it, guys. I'm surprised. This has been my favorite for a long time. Now obviously this CLP is a three-way solution, or a three-way chemical. It cleans, lubricates, and preserves. This is saying that it's a corrosion inhibitor, so it blocks rust. Doesn't really say anything about lubrication or as a cleaner. Now, that said, I did take these pliers here that were in the first video, and you saw that there was a lot of rust and orange on them. And not knowing how these tests were going to come out, I just took a 3M pad, a green 3M pad here, and some LTCI, and you can see that these cleaned up bright and shiny. I used these a couple of years cleaning and servicing pools, and they took a beating, but look how nice they look now. Anyhow, seems to work pretty good as a rust remover, so I'm not sure how good it would do as a bore cleaner or something like that. I'd want to look into that before I tried it. Anyhow, there you have it, guys. Here's the results, and I hope that this was helpful. We're going to go on to test 2, so thanks for watching, guys. Patriot out.